Hey guys, this time we will question performance of the Huawei P20 Pro's camera by comparing it against the iPhone 11. I am very curious to see the gap between this 1.5-year flagship from Huawei and the brand new iPhone. Let's begin. First difference lies in HDR and its automation. It works not always, and generally it's more subtle in the Huawei. In the iPhone, HDR kicks in always, and it is stronger. As you can see, more details are preserved in the sky area in the iPhone's picture. On the other hand, some will prefer that less processing, so it depends on what you like more. That said, the results from the P20 Pro are also pretty good. As you can see, oddly enough, in this image it even came out looking better in terms of the exposure and the dynamic range, so it shows the P20 Pro hasn't lost all of its potential. I believe that the iPhone is directed towards average users and designed to be as simple as it can be, which also applies to its camera. That's why I think the results from the iPhone were always that predictable and balanced. iPhone's pictures are pretty much always well exposed, which I can't say about the P20 Pro, but I should also mention that the iPhone's extended dynamic range comes with the price of more noise, especially visible in the magnification. In terms of the sharpness in the landscapes, iPhone 11 seems to be a bit better. The P20 Pro looks slightly more messed up sometimes. I'm not sure what is the cause of this though. Maybe it's because of the autofocus? But with quote-unquote normal pictures, there is not much difference when it comes to the level of detail. Going to some macros, as you can see, both didn't have problems with color accuracy, handling that red flower. And in the crop, both seem to deliver results expected from those small sensor and apply noticeable sharpening. Same goes for this picture of a sunflower. Nice colors on both. In the magnification, both perform very similarly. And one of the biggest difference, bokeh. The P20 Pro has significant advantage in terms of depth of field, probably thanks to the bigger sensor and lower aperture. It's definitely nice to have that more depth and professional-like look in the pictures. In terms of the video quality, I don't see any big difference in the level of detail, but aside from that, iPhone 11 is clearly miles ahead of the P20 Pro. Exposure control is not as harsh and works in a fluid way, autofocus is more reliable, colors are much closer to the reality, and the dynamic range is fantastic. Not to mention the stabilization is almost like when filming with a gimbal. The P20 Pro seemed to have no stabilization in 4K, which was already a disappointment when it came out, so no surprise it looks bad in comparison with the new iPhone. On the flip side, iPhone 11 has slight issue with artifacts, especially visible with scenes involving more movement. I haven't noticed that on the Huawei. Either way, overall, I would say the iPhone 11 is significantly better when it comes to the video recording. I feel like the guts of both cameras are comparable, but often what makes the difference in smartphone photography is the software. Low-light performance seemed to be similar, but I noticed the iPhone has tendency to make pictures as bright and exposed as it's possible, which unfortunately will often translate into more noise than in the Huawei. Once again, you may also notice that more shallow depth of field also. It is an advantage over the iPhone, in my opinion. As condition gets more extreme, gap between the two increases significantly. I can't stress enough that the strongest point of the iPhone's new night mode is that it's working automatic. When doing low-light photography in most of those phones, including the P20 Pro, you have to hold your phone very steady anyway, because the shutter speed will be very low, so I would rather have that good working automatic night mode, which works simply fantastic. The P20 Pro unfortunately doesn't have a chance here. Those shots were made in a complete darkness. It's really impressive how much information we can gather from the iPhone. The P20 Pro is still pretty solid low-light performer, but it just can't keep up with the new iPhone 11 in terms of that night mode. And lastly, capturing video in low light. I know it's a tough one. Extreme conditions. As you can see, both are very noisy and there is a great loss of detail. The P20 Pro looks a little bit darker, but with less noise than the iPhone. Colors are definitely more appealing on the iPhone though. It's hard for me to choose a winner, but if I had to, I would pick the iPhone because of its colors and more brightness. To sum up, in my view, the Huawei P20 Pro haven't lost all of its potential, but it is outdated when it comes to some features like video recording and maybe that HDR. I was pleasantly surprised by the same level of detail on both and that great bokeh. Low light was also respectable, until I used that new night mode on the iPhone 11 of course. Let me know which one you prefer. Is the P20 Pro camera already outdated or not? Write in the comments. See you in the next one. Peace.